Good morning, this is Dave T1963, and I just want to have a quick chat about climbing sticks, and climbing up leaning trees and hunting out of leaning trees and all that. And, I'm just going to be real honest here. I see a lot of videos out there where people are trying to get in these really crazy leaning trees to hunt out of. If that's the only tree out there, then you're going to do what you got to do, okay? But I'm going to tell you, climbing a leaning tree, a twisting tree that's leaning significantly, if you can use screw-in steps, that's a lot easier than trying to use sticks. And I'm going to say this right now. On leaning trees, you should not be using an aider whatsoever. In fact, it's almost impossible on a severely leaning tree to use an aider. So you got to keep that in mind. If you're going to go set up and hunt in a leaning tree, and you're used to using an aider and you're only carrying 3 sticks, you're not going to be able to get up as high as you normally would. So you got to keep that in mind. But the thing I want to say right now is that this is being way over exaggerated about getting in these leaning trees to hunt out of, whether it's a stand or a saddle. Unless there's a stand out there that I'm not aware of, there's only so much lean you can set up without your platform either being like that, which is impossible to get comfortable on, or you might be set up on the underside where it's going to be even narrower. And then gravity comes into play. I mean, once you try to stand on that platform and shoot from a severely leaning tree, you're going to be challenged, okay? So sitting down from a stand that's leaning is probably the best option. And I'm going to say this once again, even with the saddle platform, hunting out of a leaning tree is not easy. And all of us are going to pick as straight a tree as we can find, or a straight limb, or whatever. So, I just want to kind of throw this out here because there's so much crap that gets spewed out on YouTube these days, where I could set up in this tree and I could do this and I can do that and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. When in reality, 99% of the time, we're hunting relatively straight trunk. And I don't care if it's a stand or a saddle. Now, yes, I know with screw-in steps, you can kind of offset. If your tree's leaning like this, you can kind of offset and keep your ring of steps parallel, but you're still fighting gravity. And trying to walk around a leaning tree to get offside shots and all that, go out and try it. Okay, so I just get sick and tired of all the utter nonsense you see on YouTube these days about hunting on some of these weird trees and stuff like that. Yes, you can do it. And I've even demonstrated setting up on different trees. Dan Infalt and I are about to make a video in a couple weeks where we're going to demonstrate setting up in various trees. But here's what I'm going to say right up front. Most of the time, that's not what's happening out when we're hunting, okay? So, I don't even know where else to take this little chat, but to use your head, okay? Set up in the best tree in the right location that you can. And if that tree's severely leaning, I personally would set up on the ground, okay? Especially if it's a solo tree. In that video Dan and them did a few weeks ago, at the end of that video, they showed this tree that was sitting wide out in the open. And I guess when I go up there, we'll see. Maybe Dan's going to take me out there and I'll show how I would set up in a tree like that. But in reality, I would not even climb that tree. I would be setting up on the ground, because any deer that comes through there is going to peg you in a tree like that. Okay, so yeah, you can get away with it some of the time, but you're going to be busted a lot of times too. So, we got to keep this crap real. And, once again, I just see so much garbage being put out on YouTube these days about what we're given a false impression to people that we walk through the woods in whatever tree we encounter, we climb up, we set up. I spend an enormous amount of time on the ground finding the right location and then picking the right tree. And occasionally, yes, it means it's a very weird tree with awkwardness to it. But if it's too awkward and too leaning and stuff like that, I'm going to set up on the ground. And you know, I like John Everhart. He puts out some great content, great videos, but it's absolutely non-applicable to most all states now. Screw-in steps are illegal. There's a few states where you can use them, but almost all states on public land, it's illegal to use screw-in steps. So if you want to break the law, go ahead and do it. Climbing a leaning tree with screw-in steps, in my opinion, is easier than using sticks, especially when you get a tree that's kind of snaky and you know, bends in several directions, because then putting a stick and getting it set up right on that can be challenging at times, and it almost makes it impossible to use an aider in those circumstances. So, you know, folks, practice, practice, practice. Get out there and climb certain trees and stuff like that. But the reality is, if you watch most hunting videos of everyone that's hunting, when they're hunting, you will see the vast majority of people, especially on public land, are setting up on relatively straight trunks or limbs. Okay? Take it for what it's worth. Dave T1963 out.